Check, 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 check. Okay, this is working. All right.
Good.
So I'm getting real close.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right, so this is Klick, and I'm here with Dom. Dom, introduce yourself, the band.
Sure. I'm Dominic Muzio, lead singer, guitar player for Wicked Garden, out here in Las Vegas.
Sin City, baby.
Sin City, well, at least that's what some people call it.
Yeah, we call it Geriatric City,
Right.
as we were discussing.
God's waiting room.
Exactly. So, pretty much. So you guys actually, before you got together, you were all in your own individual bands, correct?
Actually, well, yes and no. We've all been musicians for years, and Sean started this band in 2011, and we just all kind of joined at different times. Jay, the drummer, joined in 2012. I joined in 2013, 14, and then Troy was the last guy in. He came in 2016. And what happened was we started off, we were a cover band. So we were doing like 90s covers around town, and then just kind of morphed into this like original project now.
Now I think what is like really cool is the story about you guys writing your own originals comes from Counts Vamped, right?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I was outside of Counts Vamped after a show, and some guy just came up to me and just like started slagging cover bands, and he was like, "Well, let's see you write your own shit." So I was like, "Okay." And I had done it. Everybody in the band had been in original bands before, and it wasn't something we never did before. And it was just we had felt that, at our ages and whatever, it was like, it's self-serving. What's the point? But I've always told people, if you want me to do something, tell me I can't do it. So we went back and I wrote a couple of songs and we debuted them at Counts Vamped about 3 months later, and somebody filmed it and they put it on Facebook, and it kind of started going around to little independent labels that started calling us. And we were like negotiating with a couple of them, and everything kind of fell through, and we were getting ready to put it out on our own. And then Dave from Vanity Music Group called us up and said, "Hold on, don't put anything out yet." And he gave us tons of money and hookers and blow.
Yes.
And
hookers that blow?
Yeah, hookers that blow. Yeah.
Yes.
And he plowed us with cheap whiskey. And actually, he gave us like a half a ham sandwich. But we said, "Sure, you can put the record out. It was good."
So, but when you originally went in to do the writing process, you guys all together now for the first time.
Yeah, together. Yes.
What was
absolutely.
that like? Like, was it a different kind of vibe? Because I mean, you're totally going from cover tunes,
right,
and now you all get to show your own reflection and your own personalities through how you're going to write.
Yeah, it was weird because we had to feel each other out. Like, I'm a complete control freak, and I can admit that, and the guys know that. So we all have a different writing, not just a style, but a different writing technique. Like, I come in with full songs. I'll come in like, here's the guitar, here's the bass, here's the drum sound that I need, here's the vocal line we're singing, where like somebody like Sean will come in with a great riff and go, "Okay, what are we doing with this?" And then, not saying he can't write whole songs, he does sometimes, but like the dynamic is just different. Troy is really good at adding parts. Troy can hear something and go, "I think I should do this harmony here," And then Jay, as the drummer, of course, just keeps everything together, and he's really good at arrangements. He'll say, "Hey, we should do this middle part 8 times instead of 4," and we're like, "Why?" And then, "Oh shit, yeah, okay, that works." So yeah, so it was kind of hard to kind of get on that same page, but now it kind of clicks a lot better. Like when somebody comes with a song,
from going to dating to being married at this point.
Pretty much. It's like you don't have to tell them like to spit on your hand anymore. They know now.
Exactly, they know now. So what was the first song that you guys actually fully composed, fully produced, etc.?
The first song that we did was it's on the record. It's called "Stained," and it's actually based on a riff that I wrote like 20 years ago. When I was in another band in New York called Hedonix that did a couple of records, and me and the old bass player had written this riff, and the band broke up before anything ever came of it. And what happened was Troy couldn't make a rehearsal one night, so it was just me, Sean, and Jay, and I just started playing the riff, and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" And I said, "Just something I have," and we played it, and then I fleshed out the entire song. So that was the first one, and then like literally the next week, Sean walked in with "How Do You Sleep," and had the whole song written except for the lyrics. So I did the lyrics like on the spot in the studio. So the first 2 songs came really, really quick. And then it was funny because what we had planned was 2 or 3 originals and that's it. And maybe we do a single, just like as a goof. And what happened was, like I said, from the strength of those 2 songs that were on the video, which was "How Do You Sleep" and "Stained," that's when like we started realizing there was interest. I was like, okay, let's start writing more just to be on the safe side, And then next we had a whole album written.
And what's the total track amount?
There's 10 tracks that were recorded for this.
No, let me ask you a question. I'm interviewing you. So
Yeah.
let me ask you another question.
Sure, go for it.
So in a world of where people's minds, I guess to say, are so ADD, and I mean that in a good way, but they're like, okay, I'm here for a second. Like, that's the world of YouTube and stuff like that, where you just want to move on to the next thing. What made you put together a full-length album compared to an EP?
Because we get better mechanical royalties. No,
Truth hurts.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No, we grew up with albums. You know, we're not 20 years old. You know, and most of our fan base is not 20 years old. You know, most of us grew up with, you know, buying records at the record store and listening to the albums front to back. So we just felt that it's kind of paying an homage to that, because we do realize that, yeah, things are quick. Come in, do a single, you're gone, you know? And we said, well, if you're going to do something, you might as well just go all out. And I remember me and the guys were talking one night, and when we first decided we were going to do an album, and we're like, even if nobody ever buys this, if nobody listens to it, we have something we can say, we did this. Our kids can say, hey, my dad did this. Our grandkids can say, my grandfather did this. And it'll be something complete, because we got everything in there from beginning to end. Because it never fails. We put 10 songs on this, and the only reason why there's only 10 is because we ran out of money. You know, like, we could have did more. And we knew we were going to run into that. If we do 2 or 3 songs, then there's going to be the 4th. And, well, this song is good. Why is that going to? So we might as well just do everything we have right now. You know?
So the first video, you did one video for this song, and I like the story behind it, and I like who's in it. So I'm gonna let you build upon that. Okay,
so this the video was for the first single, which is called Already Gone, and it was shot actually at the studio where we recorded the album. It's called it's actually in a record store called 11th Street Records. In the back is National Southwest Recording, and what we did was, my son, who is a YouTube phenomenon. You know, this kid makes videos that thousands of people watch. He shot it with my fiance, who did some of the stills, but also some of the other camera work, and then my daughter stars in it. So what we did was we rented out the place for an afternoon, just went in there and just shot for about 4 hours, and then my son literally edited it in 5 hours. I don't know how this kid does it. Yeah,
I don't either.
It's incredible. And the thing is that he edited the video before we had all the footage done, because Stephanie, my fiance, her camera wasn't at the house at the time, so we couldn't get her. That was nice. We couldn't get her footage off, so he had the whole thing edited. I'm like, Nikki, you don't even have half the footage. Like, yeah, but this is a start. How does it look? 90% of it's in the final cut. We just added some of her stuff in later on. You know?
So you didn't even really need her, but you needed to make it a whole.
Well, no, we needed her because she got my angles. She knows my angles. Yeah, any close-up shots are hers, because my son will shoot up my nose. He don't care. Yeah.
That's a kid thing though. But so it's got to be really cool, because as you said, you can show your kids, oh, I'm proud of this, and your grandkids. But it's pretty cool that they too can say, as a family, we were able to do this. Right, and it's also, I look at it as maybe it jumpstarts something for them. Maybe it doesn't work out for me. You know, I've reached the point in my life where it's look, if I ain't rich and famous by now, it's never going to happen. That's fine. You know, I've accepted that fate. But if I can do something to jumpstart my kids, my daughter has no signs of being an actress, but man, the camera loves her. I've already had people ask me, does she model? And my son is just really good at the camera work and everything, and if that's what he wants to do. And I'm like, well, you now have something to put on a resume. Hey, I shot a video. Right. A video that was released on, through a band, on a label. I mean, that's a big deal, so. So the album is, tell me the name of the album, because I'm really confused about the name. Okay, the album is called Post-Dystopian Leisure Music. Okay? What are you confused about? Where the fuck did you get that name? That was our Spinal Tap moment. So we couldn't come up with a name that everybody didn't hate. One of us would come up with a name, 2 people liked it, 2 people hated it. So me and Sean were doing a guitar overdubs at the studio, and we were drinking, we'll admit it. And we were in a break, and I don't know what we were kind of doing this fake mock interview. And Sean does this unbelievably awful Cockney accent. It's so bad. And so I was like, so Sean Trojan's how do you describe Wicked Garden's sound? And he's like, it's post-dystopian leisure music. And I was like, oh, that's just way too good. Right. That is great. So I immediately texted Troy and Jim, what do you think of this? And they're like, yes. Okay, we're done. That's it. And it all came out of a joke. It came out of a joke, and the funny thing is that it kind of ties. When the actual CDs come out, which should be I think in the next week or so. We shot it out at the Wheel of Misfortune, all the way out in the desert.
We're all wearing gas masks and stuff like that. It's like we found like the shittiest place in Vegas you can find a place. Because everybody does the typical Las Vegas album. They either shoot the Strip, the Welcome to Las Vegas sign, or that other place with the fucking plane in it. Like, everybody does that. So we said, well, let's find a place where all the junkies hang out. You know? And we just did it there. And
should have gone to the damn ET Highway.
Right, we probably would have made it if you know. Luckily, we shot the pictures in October. Otherwise, we would have died from being gas masks out in the desert. But it kind of ties everything together. It's not a concept album by any stretch of the imagination, but the concept of it is that everything that we knew as we were growing up is like gone at this point. You know, making full-length albums and all that stuff. You know, MTV actually playing videos, all that. You know, so it's kind of like our way of saying, okay, well, from the ashes, this is what we used to do. It's like when my kids find a fucking album, like, what the hell's this thing?
I think it's good because a lot of bands are trying to bring that back. Like, even, like, look at Record Store Day. Record Store Day is, like, taken off the last few years. Absolutely. And that was definitely in the dishes there for a long time. So, I mean, I love the fact that bands, and we're probably about the same age, are like, you know, this is the reason that we love music.
Exactly. And it's funny because I was talking to Dave last night, and it was
I'm sorry.
No, right. And he tries to avoid me, but I catch him every now and then.
Right. Flipping me off, too.
But I even said to him, I said, I get more people asking about vinyl than anything else. And that's great. Like, to me, that blows my mind. When I signed my first record deal, which was in 1990, I remember thinking like, oh, I'm going to be on a vinyl record. And the label's like, we're not doing vinyl, we're just doing cassettes, because cassettes were huge back then. And so now it's like, that was never going to happen, but now it's a possibility. But what people don't realize is that it's fucking expensive, you know? But it shows you where it's coming from, because for every person that says, hey, I downloaded the songs on iTunes, or I listened on Spotify, I got 3 people that said, when's the vinyl coming out? So there is that market for it. You just got to find it, you know? Well,
I think personally there is a huge market for it. And I think, to me and to my ear, which I have a collection of vinyl, and my one wall is all just framed vinyls. It's not over edited. It's not fucking Pro Tools. It's none of that. It's like true in your face music, and I think that's why I love vinyl so much.
I agree. And when we recorded this record, what we did was because we recorded on a Trident board from the 70s. Like, David Bowie used this exact board, you know. So what we did was, to get that feel, yes, we still had to use Pro Tools and Logic, because that's just how you do things today. But what we did was we recorded everything onto that, and then we dumped it onto 2-inch tape, and then dumped it back into Logic to pick up the hiss and all that natural like reverb, the natural ambiance you get, for that exact reason. Because, I mean, like, if you think of like some great songs and great albums from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, I remember the little mess ups that you still hear, like the phone ringing in the ocean from Led Zeppelin, you know, or you know, even Kurt Cobain screwing up the words to Lounge Act that they just left that on the record. That's real. And I think
when you could literally hear guitar strings breaking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know,
and you could pick that up, and it was just like an extra treat.
Right. You know, Man in the Box, like, actually from the first verse to the second verse is like an 8 beat per minute difference. Like, they slowed down because they didn't use a click. That's the reality of the stuff that we were trying to grasp, you know.
Everybody's going to keep beeping at us.
They can't be honking at me. It's probably Dave.
Right? Yeah. Dave's a sexy bitch over
there.
So the full album is set to release on what date?
Well, the album's actually out digitally right now. So it's on iTunes.
I meant Touch It.
Touch It? Well, it's in transit, as we know. Is that correct, sir? It is in transit. We had a little snafu at customs. But it's coming.
What the fuck? It's because it came from David, Snafu and Customs.
That's it. Yeah, I don't know what Dave was trying to sneak Nutella into the country.
He's probably going to give away a free thing of Nutella with every.
Dave would never give away free Nutella. No, that won't happen.
He'll trade one for.
He'll trade it. He'll sell our contract for a jar of Nutella. That's actually in our contract. He's like, I will sell you guys in a heartbeat for a jar of Nutella.
Like the Costco size or regular?
The sampler.
Everybody's gonna be like, "What the fuck?"
Right? Then people have no idea. Then they meet in. I get it now. But I don't know. I'm hoping it'll be out in the next couple weeks. I'm guessing with once it gets here, and then goes to the distributors and everything. So, can we safely say sometime in May? What do you think, David? May to June, somewhere around that time. So.
And what is your next step?
Well, we're attempting to book a tour right now, which is a lot harder than it used to be, because people don't. The network of clubs is different from what I remembered, and it's also nobody trusts anybody to do anything, and I think that's because live music did take a hit, So we're trying to find a way we can string together, 5, 6, 7, 8 dates where we can go out and tour. Basically, right now it's just pumping it on radio promo and stuff like that, and maybe we'll do another video in a couple of months and see, just depending on how it's running. But then after that, it's like, hopefully, our goal is to sell enough records that we can make another one.
I mean, that's definitely always a good goal.
Yeah.
What is your dream band to open up for?
Oh man, Alice in Chains.
Alice in Chains, hands
Alice
down.
in Chains, or
original or?
Oh, you doing that now?
I'm doing that now. We're going there.
Alice in Chains now, or then Foo Fighters now. If I would give probably both my nuts at this point to do one show.
For Dave? Not
for
that
Dave.
Dave.
Or for Alice? Alice, for Jerry. Jerry's Jerry's like my guitar god right there, which is a shame because I play nothing like him because he's actually good. But yeah, and it's funny because I actually think that's who we fit with if you listen to it. Like of the newer bands that are out there now, we would probably fit really well with them. So maybe we just have to, sell our lungs to buy onto their tour.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do in life.
I only need one lung at this point.
Right, you already gave away your nuts, so that's all you got left.
Well, I'm divorced. I give those nuts away a long time.
So a question I like to ask is, when you look at the people on my side of this whole equation here, we have a tendency, and people have a tendency of labeling musicians, whether they labeled Michael Jackson the king of pop, Elvis,
right,
king of rock and roll, etc. And that's based on the legacy that they have left in the music business. When you look 50 years down the road, or even beyond, what do you want your legacy to be left as?
Just a rock musician, just a rock band. That's really, it doesn't have to be. I think we worry too much about labels. We do it too. Like as a band, people ask, how do you describe your music? It's like I always tell people, it's like imagine if Alice in Chains and Nirvana raped the Smithereens. That's pretty much the sound that we got. But what do you classify that as? Is it alternative? Well, not anymore. Is it grunge? Does grunge even exist at this point? We don't know. So it's just a rock band. And what I would want people to remember is not necessarily what we were, just how did we go about doing things. This is literally a band that everybody said you shouldn't do what you're doing. Not only as an original band, but we were a cover band as well. People told us you can't play Las Vegas and now play Def Leppard, and we were like, fucking watch us.
Right.
And they're kind of right, because good luck getting gigs out here if you're not playing Pour Some Sugar on Me every single night. And it's funny because it's like, even with the record out now, we still have that stigma about us, where we don't get a lot of love in Las Vegas. And I mean, not for
Vegas
people.
Vegas is a tough market, though.
Well, here's the problem, and this is where I'm going to piss people off, but it's not that the
It's
market
all right. We're
is
international and national.
Oh,
so
even better.
It's all right.
It's not that the market is tough. The market is perfect because we're in the right place at the right time. If you want to take people that came of age in the 90s, they're all in their mid-40s right now, okay? Mid-40s, early 50s. That's the demographic that Vegas thrives on. They're the people with expendable income. The problem is that the people in charge are 60, and they think that everybody still listens to Bon Jovi. So they just pump it down your throat,
Yeah.
I mean, like I always said, go to Fremont Street on a Friday night and stand on 3rd Avenue, and you could hear 4 different bands playing Sweet Child of Mine at the same time. Because that's
true. And the DJ down all the way at the end.
Exactly, because that's believe what people want. Vegas doesn't realize that there is an untapped market, and it's right in front of their face. We have been fighting that for going on, the 5 years I've been in the band. Sean's been fighting it for 10 at this point, but the funny thing is now we're starting to notice other things that are going on. Like there's venues booking grunge night, and they didn't call us. Like, gee, where'd you get that idea from? Because we've been pitching that idea for 4 years.
Yeah.
Hey, there's a tribute to Chris Cornell. Really, you didn't call the one band that does Soundgarden songs. Okay, fine. Like, that's the kind of stuff that we go into.
Yeah. I want to hear you do "Stay With Me, Baby." It's a cover that Chris Cornell did, and now that you said Cornell, I'm just going to leave it at that.
If I could sing it, I would.
Oh my god! Oh my god! What festival, if you could choose one festival that you would want to be on, which festival?
I would say just from the memories of it, it would be like a Lollapalooza type thing. I've done festivals way back in the day, and they're more annoying than anything else. It's very rush. It's like hurry up and wait for 7 hours. Now go play 25 minutes, and then hey, we'll see you next week. Like that type of thing. But for a little band like us to get on the stage and maybe there's 5,000 to 10,000 people there, I'd love to play Las Vegas in our own town. But good luck. But you know what I'm saying. But if there's a festival, definitely like Lollapalooza or even
so like the old school, more free flowing. I would say like a Lollapalooza is a lot more free flowing.
Yeah.
And some of them I won't mention because I'll get kicked off of the PR covering them.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the festivals. The problem is that, again, what are they trying to sell? Some of those packages make a lot of sense to me, and some of them make no sense at all. Like, I can't figure out how you're going to have, and I'm just grabbing two bands that are, Metallica and the Disposable Heroes of Hip-Hopocracy. Like, how does that fit? Where does that go? And that's a problem that I'm seeing with a lot of festivals. I think that's why some of them don't do so well. Is they're trying to give you everything in one.
Too much diversity.
Yeah, I mean, diversity is great, but it has to make sense.
Right.
You can't watch, a blues band open up for a death metal band. It just doesn't work.
I don't know. I would love to see BB King open for Cannibal Corpse.
Would be interesting.
That would,
especially now.
It would be very interesting now, but you know what I mean.
Right. It probably wouldn't smell very good, but
no. It really wouldn't at all. But I mean, yeah, I don't think that's a lot of what they feed into. But I think the festival scene in general, when you can get so many different people together, and a band that's just brand new, get out in front of 20,000 people they don't know.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
And we need more of it too. And it's funny, not just with the bigger venues, but if you like the festivals, the smaller venues are guilty of the same thing because they have this idea, and I've worked with enough promoters in my life to understand this. They believe, well, if I book 7 bands tonight and every band brings 25 people, we're going to have a great night. Yes, the problem is that most people...
realistic.
It's not realistic because most people that know one band know the other 6. So they're all bringing the same 25 people.
Right.
And then the other thing too is like, you have 6 bands playing, they're going to play for 25 minutes. One of them's going to start at 7:30 and hate themselves, and the other one's going to go on at 1:45 in the morning and hate themselves. And they got to convince their friends to spend $10 a ticket and hang out for 5 hours to watch them play 6 songs. That's an issue. The festivals are the same thing. You need to show up for 3 days and spend 400 hours to watch that one band play for 40 minutes. And in between that, we're going to bombard you with all this other shit. So I think that's where they kind of overstep their bounds.
Side note, yes, I wanted to go to a show for fun, like we were talking about earlier before this, and I was looking at the meet and greet. I was like, oh, that would be really cool to do that. $12K.
Wow.
Fuck that, and it was a Jersey boy you mentioned a few minutes ago.
Really? 12 grand? Well,
it was 12.5 actually.
I mean, and like the whole meet and greet, like I get why people were doing it. I mean, the money's not there for these musicians anymore. I mean, you're not making it on Spotify. You can be streamed 80 million times and make $50. And people don't buy records anymore, unfortunately, so they're not making it from there. So where's their stream? Well, it's from live, concerts, and a guy like you're talking about probably doesn't want to be on the road 300 days of the year anymore. He's older, he's got kids, and he's probably tired. And
because a lot of it is like, even when you go into, like you were just saying, Spotify, you're not making your money there because people are stealing your shit now.
Yeah.
So that's how they have to make their money.
Sure.
But that's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah.
That'll probably get me like boycotted from everything.
But we're not saying anything that nobody already knows. Yeah. I mean, I know people that have no concept of how the music business works at all, and they know that, like, they'll come up to me and say, oh, I streamed your record last night 10 times trying to help you out. I'm like, cool, I made 400 of a cent. Appreciate that. Like, I understand where you're going with it, and thank you, you know. But the reality is it's not going to make us anything,
So tell everybody where they can legally purchase.
So for right now, you can go to iTunes. You can go to, everybody, Google Music, Google Play, Amazon, Deezer, Tidal, all of them. They all have it. You can buy it there. It'll be available on our website once the CDs actually come in.
Which is Wicked Garden, I guess.
WickedGardenLV.com.
LV,
yes, and that's also the Instagram, the Twitter. It's Wicked Garden Vegas at Facebook. It'll be on, I guess, Vanity Music Group's websites, Shock Records, all stuff like that. So, and then it's also going to be it will be in record stores, across the country and stuff. As I think there'll be a list of that on the website as well. So they'll be able to get. But for right now, if you really want to hear it, iTunes, Amazon, all those guys.
Any shows coming up that you want to pimp out, promote?
Nothing right this second that I can really discuss because they're not signed and sealed yet. But again, in the next couple of months, hopefully we'll have some tour dates set up.
Favorite place to play in Vegas?
Counts Vamped is definitely the favorite
Best
place.
sound.
Sound is great.
I think that's because Danny is a musician himself.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. But also, I mean, as far as stage-wise goes, I've been on the House of Blues stage a couple times, and that's great. That's incredible. Yeah. But yeah, easily those places.
So anything else you would like to say? Get out.
Buy the record. Tell your friends. Post Dystopian Leisure Music by Wicked Garden on Vanity Records and Vanity Music Group, Shock Records. Stream it if you have to. That's fine. Just tell people about it. If you have a Spotify playlist, add it to your playlist. That's important. I didn't realize how important that was. Like if you have a playlist, just adding our song on there kicks that algorithm in, realizing that people are starting to catch it and they'll start putting on other things too. So that's all we can really ask people to do.
I got 5,000 people on my Facebook, so we're going to try
Beautiful.
and get them all to add it.
I would love that.
I will send them all a personal message to
Thank
do
you.
it. I will.
Good. If only 5 people do it, it's success. Trust me.
Try and tell me only 1% of the people like me. What the fuck?
Well, look
Probably.
at this way. I looked at it this way. I have 5,000 people on my list.
Uh-huh.
Right, and I said if only 10% of the people buy this record, we'll sell out our first printing. I'm still waiting.
There you go. There you go. All right, Dom, you're fabulous.
I try, but thank you so
know.
much. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you.
And I'm going to send this right now to go right on air.
Let's do it.
Bye, people.